special joint meeting board of selectmen. They Tuesday, February 21st, 2026, around 10 p.m.
And I'd like to call the special joint meeting with the Board of Finance, February 24th at 7:03 p.m. and we'll stand for the pledge.
And bring a flag. Brian got a flag on his arm. That's right. Got flag in his
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have some correspondence. Yes. And I think they're in, it might be both of our copies. Okay. First one is, somebody asking about homelessness being a problem in the area and asking for a donation to the health homeless shelter budget. Next is from the Stony Hill Fire Department regarding command vehicle, which we can all read. And last is a request from the Planning Zoning Commission to look at zoning regulations. This is in the board, so I can probably not in the one. And we're actually doing that through our ordinances at the moment. For the Board of Selectmen, I move that we approve the special meeting minutes from February 17, 2022. All in favor of the Board of Selectmen, say aye. Aye.
And I move that
Any noes? Okay. We have one more thing for Board of Selectmen. That's on here. We have a couple of appointments to Board of Commissioners.
Excuse me, Dan, are you coming through a mic? Is it? I'm here.
That better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. For the Board of Selectmen, we have three boards to appoint to. First, I move that we appoint Christina Robinson to the Downtown Advisory Committee. Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the Fire Commission. I move that we reappoint Todd Smith and Rich Straighten to the Fire Commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Except unanimous. I saw Selectman Kessler's mouth move. And finally, Board of Education. We've had two vacancies, two resignations from the Board of Education. The Democrat Town Committee came forward to give us two names. So I move that we appoint Danny Sarinkas and Richard McGee. Do I have a second?
Second.
See a second by Denny Kessler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
okay, and I'm looking for a motion to approve the special joint meeting minutes from 2/17/2006.
So move.
Second,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're good.
Outstanding. So first up, and the only one, Board of Education.
The one in
Account 7450. Yes, all right.
Thank you. You can pop up the first slide there. So, good evening, everyone. Happy to be back again as Board of Ed Chair, my third term as Board of Ed Chair. Many of you know I've been on the board since 2010 through 3 superintendents. It'll be 4 this time next year. Just a little context. Not only am I a graduate of Bethel Public Schools, so is my brother, my sister, my brother-in-law, 2 of my 4 children. I currently have an 8th grader and a graduating senior. I actually went to school here in this very fine building, and I think I'm the last generation of Bethelites that went to Center School. And believe it or not, I learned to swim in McCarran Park. If you could recall that time. Yes, right. Actually, probably days like today, we used to ice skate on the pond behind McCarran for way back when. I say that in context just because my role on the Board of Ed, I feel I have a really vested interest in the quality of our public schools. And certainly I want all of our children to have the experience that I had. Right here, you see the mission of the Bethel Public Schools, and I think it's important to verbalize. Mission of Bethel Public Schools is to, okay, there you go.
I don't know how to move that.
That's okay. I have it in front of me too.
Okay.
Foster a culture of excellence. I haven't committed it to memory. An achievement accomplished through strong collaborative relationships and rigorous teaching and learning opportunities for all learners. I think that's very important for us to keep that in mind as we, sort of deliberate and talk about what we're going to ask the taxpayers to provide as stewards of their money. 3 goals for this budget that you can see here.
Really sorry.
That's
This is
okay.
not. Space.
Okay, 3 goals. For the budget, we want to provide the same level of curricular and nutritional support. We certainly need to adjust to some shifting changes in demographics. We want to support the work of our strategic plan, which, as many people know here in this room, and anyone listening, was created with the support of many people in the community. If you actually, you can go forward again here. Oh, there's our primary drivers. As with every budget, we have some drivers, and very similar to last year, health insurance, meeting our contractual obligations, and the increasing cost of special education are driving the conversation again this year. I do say I think it's important to draw a distinction between the budget process and contract negotiations. They're 2 different processes. While one does inform the other, the negotiation process is something that acts through the collective bargaining organizations around town, and those contractual obligations are negotiated in good faith, and it's our obligation to meet them. So again, that slide right there, I guess it would have been a ethics violation if you put a picture of Connor Clayton in that.
That's correct.
Yeah, right. So congratulations to the state champion track team right there. I have to point that picture out. Personally, it was great to be there and celebrate with the team and with Coach Grimes, who I personally had the pleasure of coaching with quite a few years ago. So, in addition to the story, that what you see here in terms of healthcare and complex students with disabilities, and we did make some cuts last year. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the continued onslaught of unfunded mandates. I've been kind of a broken record with this over the years, not only just locally, but with our elected officials. And just to paraphrase a few things here, pardon me, I'm just gonna read some summaries. Bills like a statewide ban on cell phones in schools sounds great. Listen, I'm an educator and I'm for it, but it's probably going to cost money. I read a paraphrase of a bill that connects school construction reimbursement to TOD status in the town, paying student teachers. And in case you missed it, last year, I think it was passed last year, mandatory electric buses by 2030. All of these might be great ideas. Okay, they might be, and I'm not here to debate the merits of those ideas or that legislation, but in reality, it's gotta cost something. The money's ultimately it gets passed on to taxpayers, and those are things that we struggle with as a board over the years. So I'll remind the board or the boards and folks listening that we did make some cuts last year. For those of you who don't remember, we were looking at nearly a 10% increase last year, and the Board of Ed, in good faith, did not think that was an appropriate ask of the town of Bethel. And so we did make those reductions from last year, which puts us where we are today.
And I think, and I'm not going to go through all of this, I would encourage you to listen to the slide or the presentation that we did to the full Board of Ed. But when we talk about, and I know it's difficult to see on the screen, we reduced 15.5 certified staffing positions. We reduced supplies, we reduced stipends, we reduced custodians, 15.5 positions, which included certified staff, secretaries. And so I would be remiss to say also that the impact from last year is felt from our staff. We always talk, and we've kind of done this presentation, we're like, oh, our staff always doing more with less. And I would say that's probably never been more true than this year. And it's an important thing to remember. So this is a chart that Jen put together. We usually send you, it's very hard to see, I get it. We usually send you kind of where we fall with our per pupil expenditure based on surrounding communities. Jen just did this in a really interesting way for this year. And do you want to tell them what this graph represents?
Sure. So if you look at where the crosshairs are, I probably shouldn't use those words, but Bethel is that dot where those 2 lines are crossing. And so this graph is divided into 4 quadrants. If you look in the upper left quadrant, the blue one, that represents the 64 districts that are less wealthy than Bethel, that spend more per pupil on their students than Bethel does. If you look in the upper right quadrant, that's what the green one up there in the upper right, that's where there are 89 districts that are more wealthy than Bethel and also spend more money per pupil than Bethel does. And the 2 bottom quadrants on the bottom left, that's in orange over there, that's the 10 districts that spend less than Bethel and are less wealthy than us. And there is only 1 district more wealthy than Bethel that spends less than us.
Yeah, it's just like a statewide look, and it's based on the Anglican ranking that the Office of Policy and Management puts out. It determines our school construction grants and our a lot of the grants that we get as a school district. So it's just kind of a different way to look at it in terms of where we go.
So the story of Bethel Public Schools has been a continuing trajectory over the past several years with our achievement within our region. This slide right here, regional accountability data. Bethel, as you can see, we genuinely compete. And, you know, while it's not really a competition, we're very proud of our achievements of our, what's called the School Performance Index. We are outpacing towns and communities that have much different demographics than Bethel. 30% of our students are eligible, or probably more than 30. I think it's like 33%.
33.
Qualify for free and reduced lunch. I think we probably something around 8% or more are not proficient in English. But this tells a much different story of the achievement of Bethel Public Schools. And I think it's a story worth telling in terms of what our staff members are able to do and you know, with the resources that they have. So this is, again, another comparison. This is our DIRG, district reference group. You'll see towns in there, like I think I see Milford, Berlin, Clinton, Seymour, Ledyard, New Milford. We are pretty high up there. I think it's 80.8 is what our school performance index reads. And those of you not familiar with that, I think is it 18 different categories where that school districts are rated on. 12, I'm sorry, 12.
But they have subcategories.
And they all
so-
have subcategories, and you're thinking, you know, there's graduation rates, and there's chronic absenteeism, there's test scores, there's a number of different criteria, and we are doing quite well, not just within our DIRG, but I think more importantly within our region, who I think we often get compared to when you look at, you know, things like budget increases and staffing and the like. Certainly, I'm sure that's what real estate agents look at, and people who want to open a business certainly look at as well. So that's the story of Bethel Public Schools and our achievement, something that we're very proud of.
So I'm going to take you through our enrollment and demographic information quickly. So if you look at the slide again, I realize this is hard for you guys to see. I apologize, but you're going to see that overall, you know, I think, I don't know if it was last December. When did we do the last enrollment study? It was recently. It may have been a year ago, where there was a concern that there's a lot of building going on in this community. How is that going to affect your enrollment? And that study actually said that it probably won't change it substantially, that when you look at like apartments and things, that necessarily isn't going to shift it. But what we are seeing, like a lot of Connecticut communities, is that we're seeing a slight decrease in our enrollment. For next year, it's very, very small. It's about 83 students. But you remember for the past 3 or 4 years, I've come to you and said that we've increased drastically in there. And I want to get up there and point. Can I do that? If you go below 6th grade, our 12th grade class last year was over 300 that we graduated. We're going to graduate a class of about 283 this year. If you look, and people will say, well, does it have to do anything with the change in kindergarten age? And you'll see that change went into effect 2 years ago, and those kids are now 2nd graders. But in the classes below 7th grade, you're going to see a dip in how many students per grade level. And I'm just going to show it to you another way. Do you have a question? Oh, I thought you were going to ask a question, Mr. And just show you just another way. if you look overall, we're projecting about 81 less students. And you're going to see, just like I mentioned, based on the projected enrollment by grade level, that where you're going to see the drop is at our elementary schools. And you're going to see a little bit of a drop starting to go into the middle school. I actually look at that as good news because when you have less resources and you have a little less kids, it's easier to manage to some degree. In overall, that's where we're falling. Now, this has been very confusing to a lot of people, so I just want to take a moment to talk you through this. And I can't, can I make this bigger somehow? I can't stop,
Probably on the
can I?
slide. No,
Donna,
probably on
can
the
I?
slide.
I am.
Yeah, make the big screen. Yeah.
Okay, what just happened? But let me see if I can talk you through this.
Does she have a touch screen?
We have both the superintendent budget and then accessibility and the board of ed budget. We added several positions. I think that should be not shocking to anyone. In my original budget, we added a school psychologist and an open teacher for two different reasons. This, we are way out of ratio with school psychologists in terms of the overall student to staff ratio. But our multilingual teacher at the high school has a caseload of 84 students right now. That's just too many for one person to try to manage. We also, the board of ed also added a math interventionist at the high school and a custodian. And we also, in my original budget, added 2 part-time security people for the high school. And that was really, this is not an armed position. It's just people, right now we have a gentleman that sits at the door and, greets people as they come in. But the reality is the high school is a very active place, and there's a lot of time during the day when there's not adequate supervision. And I would most notably, like after school gets out, probably up to 4 or 5 at night, you have kids walking in the building, going to practice, going to theater, going to athletics, and there's no real management within the building. So what we are actually proposing is to take the 1 building subposition and transition that into 2 part-time, non-benefited hourly security people. But we also reduced 1 section of elementary because we saw some of the condensing of grade levels and classes. When we looked overall at all of the sections that we did in elementary, we felt that we were able to reduce 1 section of an elementary position. So what's I think confusing to folks, so this gives you a list of both positions that are in the operating budget and positions that are in grants. And I want to thank Brad and our Selectmen Dan, who encouraged us to put this together because it's probably the clearest way to see how many people we have employed in the school district. The only thing that I want to point out, so you'll see that the adjustment is the certified staff. You'll see the adjustment for the part-time security people. All of these people are hourly, so it looks like 1.5, but they're all hourly positions. It's a combination of tutors and the security people. But a big question that's come to my attention is the paras and the increase in paras. So we had to this year, based on student needs, add 8 paras into our budget. And you're going to say, well, how'd you pay for that? I'm going to tell you how to pay for that. We were anticipating getting excess cost reimbursement at about 1.1 million. And we did it based on the cap that of excess costs from last year when we were budgeting. When we got our allocation in December, we were told that we were going to get a 70% reimbursement. So the actual reimbursement came up to 1.4 million. And that enabled us to pay for the paras that were in the existing budget this year. You're going to note in the budget that was submitted to you that Jen made that adjustment because that's a revenue offset in our budget. Excess cost is a revenue offset. And you're going to see that there was an adjustment there. We felt it was the most transparent to actually put the positions in the budget. We could have left the excess cost line as it was or in a lower format and then transferred the money, but it didn't make sense to do so. And in addition, all of the other special ed costs have gone up. So it kind of compounded the issues. Can I pause and can I ask for questions? Because I know that's really confusing to a lot of people. Does anybody have any follow-up questions with that?
What is driving the special ed course?
Well, there's several things. We had to add an extra wheelchair van this year because we had 2 new students move in that required wheelchairs, and we did not have enough space on our existing vans. Tuitions for out-of-district placements have gone up about 10 to 15%. Based on, remember, when we talk about tuitions in an out-of-district placement, there's a slide on this, but you're talking about like $150,000 a child. So that's pretty substantial. What else? The paras?
Tuition is
Transportation costs.
Right, so whenever students outplace and we also have to pay for the transportation for them, that has been increasing a lot as well.
That's right. So if you look at all those lines, you're going to see increases in most of them. Does that answer the question? Yeah. Yes, and then.
2 questions. With respect to the transportation additional van.
Yeah.
So how much do we pay for the additional van per year?
Is it 60,000?
So the van, just the van is about 80 and we also pay for a monitor. So if you give me,
So $80 per year is what it
Plus
costs
a monitor.
you when you hire out the van. It's not.
yes, and the monitor,
have the van. So, because this came up a while back about whether we had a van. And they.
It would have to be a wheelchair van too.
Yeah, wheelchair. We'd have,
Yeah.
if we had a wheelchair van, then we would have to outsource it necessarily. If we had.
That's
one
correct.
Transition program or whatever. This
That's correct.
really fluid, right? It's like a piece of wheelchair and we have another one coming. The 2 in wheelchairs now?
We have,
I think we have 6.
we have 6 students total in wheelchairs. We got 2 additional
In every
students.
school, right?
Yeah, every school now, when I started, I don't know if we had one
Yeah.
but now they're pretty much in every school.
And then the other question, you mentioned which items you see, there were 2 items that were added after your presentation, which are those?
Math interventionist and the custodian.
Thank you.
That's right, right?
Sharon?
Yeah,
How many students are currently outplaced and has that increased or decreased?
20, and I got a slide on that. Shall I go there? Yeah, let me, so this represents the total number of students with disabilities. If you see, I always like to say, when I started, we had 333 students with disabilities in our district. This year, as of October 1, we had 569 students with disabilities. So it's almost doubled. And what I would say that's a positive thing is that the rate of increase seems to be going down. And that's probably in correlation with the rate of the overall population going down. It's still really, really high, and it's still really with a lot of students with complex needs, but it doesn't seem to be as intense as that. This slide, again, hard to read, but it just kind of looks at, if you look just at our operating budget, not at our grants, about in 2023, 2024, about 14 million or 26% of our budget was spent on special ed cost. That went up to 27%, and I do anticipate it's going to go higher. So it's a big part of our budget is special ed cost. To Karen's question, we have currently 20 students out of district placed right now. That can change monthly. It can change because depending upon student needs. I will say that Dr. Sapala has done a fabulous job enhancing programs in district so that we don't have to place students out. And I like to say it's for a few different reasons. One, I think we provide a higher quality of service and education that a lot of the outplacements have. And I think the children are in their homeschool environment, which is very, very important for students with disabilities. It's also very fiscally more responsible. If you can formulate a program to do it internally. But with that comes a lot of complex needs. And so those complex needs obviously can present an added strain on staff. Mr. Clayton already mentioned this, but I just feel like I have to say it out loud. If we keep getting caps on our special ed grants and excess cost. When I first started working in special ed back in the early 2000s, we were like very upset if the cap went to 80%. The reimbursement that should be coming from the state is sometimes falls between 60 and 70%. Just this year alone, the town of Bethel should have received almost $600,000 in reimbursement for special ed cost that we did not get from the state. There are several bills out right now to fully fund excess cost in special ed, and I would really encourage you to, to rattle the delegation because it's a continued need across the state.
You want to just explain the percentage? So
Yes.
people don't know.
Yes,
What's
thank
like
you.
what- yeah,
I'm sorry, I
yeah.
forgot, yeah. Okay, so the way the cap works is, the way the law is written, if you spend 4.5 times more than it would cost to educate a student in the district, the difference between that and what the total cost is of that is supposed to be reimbursed 100% by the state. And that's what's called the excess cost grant. So I'm just making this up for conversation, okay? So let's say 4.5 times the district is $80,000. I don't know if you know exactly what it is. It's probably close to that or 89.
Well, it's whatever our 4.5
4.5,
times. our
yeah,
per
per pupil
expenditure.
expenditures. And let's say that it cost $100,000. The state is supposed to give us $20,000 difference between those two in this reimbursement grant. But they cap that $20,000 at anywhere we've seen in the past several years from 60 to 70%. So we only get a percentage back of what we're supposed to get. The way excess cost is calculated is it's not just tuition, it's any type of high need student that has high cost that exceeds that threshold. It includes transportation, nursing services, a lot of different things that you can put into that formula to get the reimbursement. I will say that the legislature this last session put $40 million more into the account. And I think that's why we got the money this year that we weren't expecting. And it will next year too. The problem is that I like to say it's one big pie. And depending upon how many people are eating from that pie, so as expenses go across the state, if they don't put more money into the funding of it, we're gonna get less because just costs have gone up. Does that answer your question?
Is that percent reimbursement consistent in all districts of the state, or does some get more and some get less?
Some get more and some get less. It's based on your Anglican wealth. You know that chart I saw you before? We're in the middle band. So for the most wealthy districts, they get less of a reimbursement. And for the poorer districts, they get more of a reimbursement. We're in the middle. What is Sherman in the top?
Yeah, close to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on the wealth of the community. So we're in the middle band for that. Well, no, the
They have a
16,
certain amount of money that's allocated, so the state budget will have a certain amount of money for this grant. And then every district submits their request based on whatever students they have, and they say, okay, we only have this much money, so this is how we're going to divide it up.
so the more people that want the pot to eat than the pie, the less pie there is for everybody else. Another phenomena that we are experiencing, which is better but still not good, is we were having a significant amount of students moving into the district after the budget was set. So this number reflects students with disabilities who transferred in after July 1st, so after we knew what our budget was, and then to October 1st. So we get students all year long. What I would say about those numbers, so we were thrilled when it was only 15 this past year. But in previous year, and for whatever reason, we tend to get kids with more complex disabilities. So it's because, as you know, disabilities are on a spectrum. You could have everything from a simple reading disability to a child who has multiple disabilities, and they require much more services than that. So when you look at those numbers, it's still concerning, but it's actually lower than it has been in previous years. Our multilingual learners have, I guess, grown a little bit, not so much at the same pace. I believe right now we have 279 students who meet the criteria of multilingual learners. I think we have 22 language groups. Our biggest two populations, which require, in the state law requires that if you have 20 or more students in one language in one school, you have to provide bilingual services. So we meet the criteria in all of our schools, I believe. It sometimes fluctuates between Spanish and Portuguese, but we always meet the criteria in all of our schools. Hence why we're asking for an additional multilingual teacher. You're going to see also in the budget document, we definitely have some technology drivers that are occurring, cybersecurity, just replacing our one-to-one programs or maintaining them with our Chromebook replacements, our staff replacements, some AI integration that we've been doing. Is going to show some fluctuation in the technology lines. But I think our biggest story, again, like last year, is health insurance. I just only show this slide because to tell you that we're not alone, if you could actually see it, it shows that, I think the lowest community that when I did this slide that was available was a 5% increase in New Fairfield because they were self-insured. But if you'll see that across the board, most communities are seeing significant impact in terms of health. So it's not just a Bethel thing. And we've been trying to mitigate it, right? Jen and I started in the fall when we got our first kind of peek at when United Healthcare was saying, well, you're looking at a 26% increase going into this next fiscal year and this next budget season. Which we knew we couldn't do. So we started to really explore some of the things that we talked about last year, although this year I feel like we're in a better place, meaning that we've gotten a little bit further in conversations to look at self-paid models, high deductible health plans, self-paid models. And we even did a financial analysis at the beginning of the year to see if it would be better to go back to the Connecticut Partnership Plan, which is what the town of Bethel is still on, correct? Oh, that's right. That's right. And we met with our insurance broker. They saw other quotes to see if we could bring down the cost. We reviewed a comprehensive self-funding model from Anthem. But more recently, it was in January, Marsh, our insurance broker, went out to bid on our behalf. And we're expecting the bids to be back sometime I think at the end of next week. I do have one caution around it, though. They want claims data through December.
They want the claims data through January, which right now we only have through November. So there's a time lag between when the claims are incurred and then they're processed and then the data is available.
Yeah. But our trend is looking a little better on claims side. But at the end of the day, we did have an overall increase, our budget increase, if you look at the total cost of 15%. Now you're going to see a smaller cost when you look at the actual insurance line because that includes the contributions that our employees give us and some other factors. So we hope to have more information in the next couple of weeks to see if we can bring that number down. But right now we just don't have all of the adequate information to make that determination. So in terms of revenue on the good news side, we show this every year. I don't know if it's definitely been in your book. We get a variety of grants from the federal government. And when I talked about all of the different positions that were funded by grants, these are the grants that they're funded out of. And we'll send this link directly to you. If you click on that link and it's on our financial dashboard, it actually gives a summary of each of the grants, what positions are paid out of it, and then what the grants are entitled to use. There is a little bit of speculation on the federal level that some of these grants might be going away. We haven't gotten any type of final determination. And at this point, they're saying to plan like we're getting them for next year because we haven't heard otherwise. At least that's what the commissioner is communicating to us. And we'll know more in the next couple of weeks. These are some other grants that like Donna's applied for in technology. We also get Medicaid reimbursement for, it's much like for related services like speech and language and occupational therapy. We can get reimbursement for those services for there. And then just in general, I think this was your slide.
That's all right.
Okay. And just in general, we are expecting excess costs to be flat, which is good. Bethel saw a huge increase last year in excess cost. Education cost sharing. I'm sorry.
It's still a moving target.
Yes.
I mean, in terms of similar to the excess cost, right? The education cost sharing. We did it on last year, but again, for everyone in the table here knows This is money that goes to the town. This doesn't come to the Board of Ed. It goes to the town for folks listening at home or in the back to offset the mill rate. So while we're happy with $10 million, of course, it has fluctuated. You can see over the years. And I don't think I'm going to get the terminology wrong, but I don't think it's the lowest threshold has been raised since 2013, right? What was the,
Correct.
Yeah.
I think it was 2012.
okay. Okay.
And there is legislation in the works right now to raise the threshold. And if they do that, then that would mean that Bethel would get more money. If, again, something you should talk to your reps and people about, because that would be good if that was coming to us.
There you go. There's our spending pie chart. You can do the math. I think it's 88%. Education is a people business. We're not pens and paper clips. So it's not a surprise that, nearly 90% of our dollars are spent on salaries and benefits.
And then this is just a summary slide of kind of that illustrates the overall ask and increase. And if you look, obviously the first one is the contractual salaries. That includes switching the paras, like we did this year, into that line. You'll see that. I'm sorry, you're right, excluding the paras. Thank you, Jen. The health benefits is 1.92. The paras is 0.40. All the other spending is pretty limited because health insurance and contractual increases make up the most of it. And I think that's it for the 450.
What? See it?
It's my last one.
Your slide's not.
Yes.
In this, your recommended budget was 58,377,489. Where does it stand now?
That's this year.
That's this year.
So
So my recommended budget before the board increased it, do you have that here?
the
Was 312,009. Yes,
What's it stand at now?
62,545,049.
545,
049.
and that's money that the Board of Education added on after your requested budget.
That is accurate. Did they have this copy? Brad, did you give them the updated copy?
I have not, I did not. Once I printed the book today.
Oh, okay. Would you like me to have it really quickly copied?
They'll have it.
Okay.
before they go to-
Okay. 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 Other questions?
I have one more. With respect to paras, we've spoken about the addition. Why 4 paras? What was the need at that time? Was anybody address that?
Combination of things. Kids with complex medical needs that without violating any student confidentiality. I'm going to talk in generalities. Some complex medical needs that needed it. Some students that exhibited severe levels of emotional dysregulation, which causes aggression. Those were probably the biggest reasons.
I have a question. And there was mention earlier about the demographics changing and that driving some of the costs. Can you explain on that a little bit more, like what you're seeing as far as demographics, and how is AI being used, and like, do you anticipate some either cost savings or labor hour savings for teachers and things like that?
To the first question about demographics, I think the biggest drivers in the budget that's changed is we're getting more students with disabilities with higher complex needs. That is not just a Bethel problem, that's a statewide problem. I would even say it's a national problem. And so that's probably the biggest reason with our students with disabilities. I don't want to make an assumption, so I'm going to say out loud that by law, we're required to provide under IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. We develop an individualized education plan that meets the needs of those students. So we're mandated to do it. I think I told you, Dan, if we didn't hire those 8 paras, we would have probably incurred over $1 million in cost without placements. At minimum, I'm probably underestimating it. With our multilingual learners, that's the other demographic piece. We are also seeing a shift in the skills that are, well, we're seeing two things. We're seeing that when I first started in Bethel, many of the students entered and they started in the early elementary schools. We were highly successful with them because they were learning to read, engaging in English, I can't even say it, English acquisition. And they were, relatively successful with minimal supports. What we've seen over time, and I think it really was exacerbated during COVID, if I have to be completely honest, we're seeing students enter at all levels. And depending upon their country of origin, they may have missed substantial amounts of schools. So they're coming in years and years behind. So I left Ecuador in 3rd grade. I entered Bethel in 6th grade, but I wasn't in school for 3 years. And so what happened is, obviously it's not the children's fault, right? So they have decreased literacy skills. They just don't have, they're entering a new country and they're assimilating anyways. They're learning a new language. And oh, by the way, they've missed a significant amount of time in their actual education. That's not true of all of our multilingual learners, but it's true of a good majority of them. So like to have 84 kids at the high school, we haven't had that one since I've been here. And then, and it's just unreasonable to think that one teacher can meet the needs of 84 different kids. So that's another example of kind of some shifts.
I think some of the research though, just to point on that, I think it takes 5 years of multilingual support to be proficient at the 50th percentile.
Right.
So it's a significant amount of instruction to just get at the 50th percentile when you don't speak the language.
Right.
And also to point out that even in our own country,
Right.
different education in different states, like the expectation.
That is true.
So you have people moving from, say, Texas or any other, not like trying to put it out. I lived in Texas, so the standards are different. Depending on where you live, your demographics as well. So coming here, it is challenging for a lot of children to adjust from the standards that were there from the years of schooling even there to here.
Yeah. I would also say that there's more transiency in the population. So you're seeing kids come in and out a little more frequently. When you look at, if you look at my presentation at that, which is on our website, we talk about, there's a term that they use, when you assess students, you can only assess students that were there the previous year. And it was only a percentage of the overall population that we had. I can't remember the exact, Nikki's not here, is she? No, the exact population, but it was substantial. So did I answer your question?
Oh, and the AI.
Oh, the AI. Well, I could give a whole lecture on that. Donna did a beautiful job presenting our whole AI plan to the Board of Ed last Thursday night.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah, Thursday night. And so I will send you a copy of that. I literally could spend an hour like talking to you about what we're doing in that area. Do I think it's going to immediately result in any cost savings through any means? The answer is no, not for this fiscal year.
Oh, no, yeah.
But we are using it for productivity, definitely. We in big ways. And so it's really helping teachers a lot. And we're starting to introduce it with students. But I'll make sure you get a copy of the presentation because I literally could talk about it for an hour.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with things I appreciate and things I like. Your diligence, you and Scott and Jen and Kristen, you're an A team, and I agree with that. And I also appreciate having these minutes for my dinner. Things I don't like. Unfunded mandates, it just screws up the whole party, you can't even have fun. So unfunded mandates and the health insurance, the fact that they base the rates on claims, that just seems like a backdoor way to get away from the pre-existing conditions thing. Because if they're counting up your claims, obviously you have some conditions. So if you went to the doctor in the past 5 years, they're gonna raise your rate or something, and I think that's outrageous. And the other thing is, the fact that we can't make decisions we can only make decisions on a very small percentage of the budget. So it's difficult because I know you put all this time in and all your figures are correct. And I feel that this type of thing, it just pits the taxpayers against each other, when really it's the state. And I just think people need to know that that's why they're, you know, it's almost like they throw a piece of meat into a shark tank or something, and then, oh, look, you know, nobody gets along. But I appreciate you guys, and I'm just saying that. And it's just gonna be really hard, because I know what you're saying about all the electric vehicles, they're gonna be selling, that's gonna be a really, real expense.
Last year, when she came to us with the increase in health costs, one of the mitigating ways was to, correct me if I'm wrong, cut the full-time preschool.
We cover, yes. That was one of the reductions, yep,
Is that still in place?
yes. Yeah. And Board of Ed asked me, how much would it cost to restore it? It's about another $600,000.
Now, the increase from what you proposed to the Board of Ed and the Board of Ed finally approved is how much again?
So I'll get it exactly. It's a little more than 200,000.
Yeah.
What were those increases?
It was, and I'm not going to say that they weren't positions that are needed, right? I want to say that aloud. It was a custodian that was cut and a math interventionist at the high school, meaning providing extra support for students that are below proficiency in mathematics.
To me, the money that is invested in these children in preschool, a full-time preschool, far more beneficial to Bethel in the long term than a $200,000 increase in these other conditions. So you don't know, I'm not saying you, because you didn't propose this, but I think that's, I'm not sure which members of your Board of Ed would propose these increases without
Oh,
increasing.
let me be clear.
preschools
They
first.
asked about preschool first.
Yeah, but they chose not to do.
I think because it was a substantial increase and they recognized that, am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Okay, that they recognized that that would be adding at least another % on the budget.
Just one other question. You bring up about how you have a lot of multiple disabilities and medical needs. Have you looked at nursing staff?
We have.
increases and
We
things?
have.
And
We
Is there like in the budget that, because I believe last year we cut position.
You cut half a position.
Yeah.
And we've talked to Lisa Davenport, our nursing supervisor, and they feel that our current staffing level is adequate.
James, how would you, how would you describe this budget as far as how much does it sort of restore what was cut from the 25-26 budget as compared to what you had in 24-25, notwithstanding all the contractual?
I don't know if I asked.
It's like a.
So if we were to restore
Sure.
everything that was cut, so the cost of things go up a little bit each year, right? So to restore all of the cuts from last year, that would be just under $2 million.
But he's asking how much in this budget was restored.
How much was restored? So last year, a psychologist was cut, so that's back in. The custodian, the high school teacher was cut, and the math interventionist, that it was a science teacher, but the high school would prefer a math interventionist to restore that. And a little bit in supplies.
Yep.
No.
Custodian.
Did I say custodian? Yeah, custodian. Yeah.
And 2 million is about 3.3% increase in the budget.
Oh, it's more.
Yes, it'd be 3.4 to do that. Yeah.
So give us a total of what, a little over 10?
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Just out of curiosity, when you said those positions were cut, were they existing positions or were they proposed positions in the budget?
The only one that was a proposed position in the budget was the school psychologist.
Right, so that was more of this, it was reduced from the request.
Correct.
Reduced from the request last year.
Correct.
Included in the initial request this year.
Thank you.
You said, so the psychologist is in the initial request?
It was, yes. So-
Last year.
Math interventionist and custodian were added in the.
Yes, correct.
It wasn't like a real cut.
No, it wasn't a cut. 'cause
We
it was-
never had.
It was a cut in the increase.
Yeah.
A cut in the increase,
Correct.
wasn't a cut.
Sorry, real quick, just to follow on the, causes, you mentioned earlier about getting out of ratio.
Yes.
Can you explain what that number is?
Yes, so if it's okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and I'll pull up the, do you have it? Oh, look at you. I just don't have it memorized.
When you look at that, I will say,
Yes,
all these items that they presented are available on the Board of Education website.
yeah.
Under resources,
Yeah, it's
you'll
like
see
one.
where the superintendent dashboard,
Yeah,
you go in there, you'll find all the budgets up in the dashboard, this presentation here as well, including.
she's just pulling it up. There was a question a Board of Ed member asked, so I want to say like, under special item. Well, any other questions while she's looking?
Sorry.
This is a very thorough,
Okay.
professional,
Thank you.
presentation.
Yeah, yeah.
I do want to.
So the recommended ratio for school psychologists is 1 to 500, and we're at 1 to 775. The school psychologist and the State Department also has on their website recommended ratios too. Yes, the Department of Education, yes.
So if we add the one, it brings our ratio to 1 to 620. It doesn't bring us in line with the recommendation. It just improves the ratio.
Yeah.
Selectman Kessler, do you have anything? I mean, I just want to make sure if you've got any questions, you have an opportunity. I see it shaking your head no, so that looks like there's no questions.
Okay.
Okay. So you want to go through the 460 then?
Sure. I was like, why isn't this showing up? Let me just get this going.
You all know how hard this is. You know, Cynthia, Will, Brian, Matt is on the board.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to go through.
Why is this not showing again, Scott?
For your presentation.
Oh, you can share your screen.
Share your
I
screen.
did.
There you go.
It's very frustrating.
But you don't have the presentation up. Penny's got her hand up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You don't have the presentation.
Yeah, hi.
I can't turn my
Dr.
screen.
Dr. Carver, while you're doing that, I just think it needs to be said that
I'm going to let Jen walk you through this.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, I just wanted to be said that considering what our town has gone through with the budget and quite frankly, the limited amounts of funds that have been given to the school system, it is remarkable what you and the Board of Education have been able to do with the teachers and the staff and the faculty with that limited amount. I want to make sure that we all understand that just because you can doesn't mean you should need to. So just because you're able to make do with the cuts that have happened certainly last year, the needs of the kids have just grown exponentially. So I want to thank you for this presentation. I have to tell you, being online was very, very easy because I could see right up front what you were talking about, even if nobody else could. So thank you.
Explain facilities.
Okay, so this is a chart about the facility spending history. It goes back a few years. Last year, we spent about 764,000, and which is about 238 above our budget. And we very much appreciate the funds that were given to us by the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance to help us out with some capital and non-recurring to help us with some issues. And the point of this chart is to show where we've been, and we have been depending on supplementing the 460 budget with some additional funds. Sometimes we've had grants, ESSER grants related to COVID, et cetera.
Okay. Jen, what am I doing? Looking, okay.
So this chart summarizes our request. The first column there is our current budget, which did have a reduction in it. Our proposal for next year is $696,000, so just under 700,000, which is more in line with our historical spending. What else did I want to say? We are anticipating receiving a new grant called DRIP funds. There's a conference call next week.
We're all excited about it.
To learn about that. It's for DRIP funds, so we'll learn more about it next week. So that's looking more of a reality that we'll be able to get that. So that's great. And one of our big concerns is some of the facilities at the middle school. So we're currently working on an RFP to put out to do a facilities study at the middle school, so we can really understand, what the state of that building is, and we can start working on a path forward to address some of the issues that we're seeing at the middle school, things like HVAC, et cetera. So,
And
do you have any questions? I'm trying to keep it short.
I think that's it.
That is it.
Can you tell us the amount again? 600 and.
Oh. I did. It's,
696,769.
we are anticipating getting that 150,000 in DRIP funding.
And that would come off this time.
It could, yeah, it could, because I think that's the whole purpose is it's supposed to intended to supplement, like maintenance needs in school districts. That's the point of it.
Are there like rules about what you can spend it on? What is it for?
We're going to find out on
Yes,
next
it's for
week.
smaller projects. It's for projects that are too small to go to the Office of School Construction. But it's facility related things. So we're expecting to be able to use it for HVAC or like refinishing a gym floor, things
Like some of the things we thought when we did the tour of the middle school.
Right,
Yes.
correct. And that's, we intend to do, like, use that money for this year's funding, hopefully, to be able to pay for that.
And those things are or are not in your budget of,
They are not,
okay,
they are not.
okay, so that money has no impact on this budget number, probably.
You mean the cost of the facility study?
No, I mean, the DRIP fund that you're talking about.
What I'm suggesting.
It's included.
Well, what I'm
it's on the- yeah.
suggesting is that could be an area you look at, because we are expecting that revenue where that is a potential reduction, because we're always transparent. And we'll know more next week. I mean, I'm sure Pat will be on the call too. So we'll know more next week about what that looks like, what we can spend the money on, and to get that. But we do anticipate, and we share that with both Dan and Pat, that that's an area that you definitely could consider. And I would say too, the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen have been fabulous. Even though our history is that we've been flat funded, you've always said, when you need something, come to us, and we do on occasion. And you've always lived up to that expectation. So it's always been a good partnership on that front.
Is the high school roof in this?
No,
That's a capital.
it's in the capital plan. But again, that's another estimate that you're going to get probably pretty soon. Yeah. I just want to remind both boards that that's reimbursable by the state under a school construction grant. So that's something that you should be able to apply for and get about 47% reimbursement.
Some questions or anything?
Decide.
One more question.
Okay, James.
Yeah, this is just just to get your sort of feel on this, and what's down to rat tax, what would you say is like, you know, the ultimate priority where like, if you don't get this, like you're.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I think,
What do you mean by this? That would help me understand what you're, what is the this?
In what you're asking for in the budget.
the multilingual teacher,
What do you think?
the multilingual teachers and the school psychologists are my top two. I put them in the budget because I feel those are the areas where there's the biggest stress points. I think Jen would probably say a custodian. Yes. They are. They were out shoveling this morning at 5:30 and I'm hoping we can open school tomorrow.
But it's important to point out that we don't have any purview over how Board of Ed spends money.
Oh,
Right. Whatever the budget is, you get those psychologists, get those.
I think you were saying more in that, just so we can deliberate and like what things we're thinking about.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, for our deliberations of like.
You would know.
But they do what they do.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
But I asked you because like, obviously you're way closer to the day-to-day that we are. So like, me, personally, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm just trying to get a sense of one, how it all works and like, what's most important for our kids.
One item though, to point out is that question and answer page that Jen was looking at a few moments ago. That you can find that, it's probably on the website.
It is.
I think Dan mentioned that. It's every single question that every board member asks throughout what do we have, 4 deliberation meetings? And you can see where we sort of really get into the weeds in terms of where the money is going. That's helpful.
The finance, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We try to keep it as transparent as possible.
So last year, when the first cut was proposed, you had a list of things that you would have to cut in order to meet that budget. And it was discussed at the town hearing and
Yeah.
and you put out the letter. Can we assume that it would be the same thing that are at risk if we have to make cuts this year?
Meaning if we go beyond even the added positions. If you cut beyond the added positions.
Right. Well, I mean, we can't say how you.
No.
So
But
if you
yes,
have
the
in-
answer
if you
is
have in mind that we don't want you to have those positions. I'm making this up.
no, yes,
You could still add those positions and cut something else.
correct,
So,
correct.
I mean,
That's
the
correct.
things-
The board
things
could.
That you were, would have cut last year, is that like the low hanging fruit is probably gonna be the same things this year?
Well, if it went below
Yeah.
a certain, yeah. I mean, nothing substantially changed, so I would say yes. All right.
Any further questions on your side?
Well, thank you,
Thank you.
as always, excellent presentation. Appreciate what you guys do to, make this as transparent as possible. I will say the first, I saw it. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Gravity.
Thank you.